Hi, I'm Ken Tuvman, and I'm the author of a brand new book that was published on September 11th, 2021. It's called Mission 91, The Bomber Raid on Stuttgart, Germany. My dad's story as a B-17 waist gunner and prisoner of war at Stalag XVII B. Here's the cover. It's available on Amazon. And I just wanted to share that my dad had enlisted on August 30th, 1941. He wanted to become a pilot. That didn't quite work out. And in the course of crewing on a B-17 named Shida, based out of Conettishall, England, on his sixth mission, it was called the Stuttgart mission, they were shot down coming back from Stuttgart over France by an ace pilot by the name of Egon Meyer. So a lot of research went into the story. I know when I was a kid, Dad used to always carry around, this was made out of his coveralls, and inside is a YMCA book that was issued to all prisoners, American prisoners of war. So what I wanted to do was understand what my dad went through, because he always talked about being in Stalag 17 and, you know, being in the B-17 and that sort of thing, but I really never knew the dynamics of what went into the making of a war, the strategic bombing, and all the different plans that were devised to come up for a way to fight the Germans and defeat the Germans. So I spent some time doing research. In a few minutes I'm going to share some more information about Dad. And some of the sketches that were in his scrapbook. He collected a lot, and as a matter of fact, there is a book that I have. It's really rare. It's called Krems Memories, and it was written by Ben Felper, and he and Don Bevan, excuse me, he and Don Bevan were the co-writers of the play Stalag 17. And if you guys remember Hogan's Heroes, that was the spoof on Stalag 17. But this was all just basically a commentary about life in the prison camp. There's different pictures of the prison camp. How do they take pictures? Well, they would get Red Cross parcels and they would trade the guards for, like, let's say a pack of cigarettes for a roll of film, or a couple of packs of cigarettes and some chocolate bars for a camera. But they were able to, or the guards took the pictures. But at any rate, there was a lot of bartering going on in the POW camp. So I'm real happy. My dad left me. I'm happy to have gotten this book put together. My dad had left me all this information, and I don't know if it was specifically for me, but I certainly wanted to tell the story, and now I have a much better understanding of what my dad went through. Well, he kind of referred to it lightly as maybe like camp. It wasn't quite like that at all. It was a pretty grim experience. And being a Jewish prisoner of war with an H stamped on his dog tag, you know, he was lucky to survive the war. But here I am, his son, Ken Tuvman, to tell you the story about what my dad went through. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be sharing with you some more information and pictures in just a couple of minutes. Thanks. So this is a map of the mission that Dad flew on September 6, 1943. There's a company called historyshots.com or .net, but they sell this online. It's mission number 91, the bomber raid on Stuttgart, Germany. And I'll just read this to you. It's really interesting. It says, the 91st mission of the 8th Bomber Command was one of World War II's most costly air operations. 338 B-17s from 16 bomber groups took off from England's airfields to bomb aircraft and weapons factories in Stuttgart, Germany. The deep raid was at the limit of the B-17's operational range and beyond full fighter protection. Dense cloud cover obscured the target area, preventing most of the bombers from attacking their primary targets. It was 1,150 miles round trip from England to Stuttgart and back, and the flying time would have been 7 hours and 13 minutes. They called this daylight high altitude bombing, strategic bombing. So in terms of aircraft lost, 338 airplanes launched, 44 aircraft aborted, 8 aircraft were shot down in Germany, and 19 aircraft were shot down or crashed in France. Well, let's just say they were shot down. And 12 aircraft ran out of fuel and had to ditch in the English Channel. And in terms of cost of flyers, 51 men were killed in action. And most of these men were aged somewhere between 19, 20, 21, somewhere that would have been the median age. 156 men were able to get out of the airplanes, parachute out, and then they were captured. There were 67 that were lucky. They parachuted out and evaded capture. And then another 49 had flown and landed in Switzerland and were interned in Switzerland until the end of the war. But it's a neat map. It gives all the airplanes and all the statistics, and I wanted to share that with you. This is a memory box I made of Dad's time in the service, and the background is a map of all the POW camps in Germany. This is a letter that he wrote home. It basically just says, "Dear folks, Bernard M. Tuvman is safe, prisoner of war in German camp. No other data given." This was a letter that was written to Dad by his sister Helen when he was, it says Stalag XVII Stalag XVII B, Germany. And this was a picture that was in the local Springfield, Massachusetts paper. Local man listed as prisoner. This was one of his flying wings. It showed he was flying on a B-17 bomber. That was another one of his wings. That's the type of airplane he was in. This is an air medal. 2 air medals that he received after he was liberated. There's a picture of Dad at a flight cadet school. This is a picture of a .50 caliber shell. Dad was shooting, he was the left waist gunner on the B-17, and he was shooting, there was 2 Browning .50 caliber machine guns shooting out of an open window in an unpressurized airplane at 25,000 feet, probably 35, 40 below zero. Anyway, this was a shell. It's not live, but that's what he used. That was in the gun. This was the name of his airplane, She Don't Wanna. When he was taken, I guess when he was taken captive, I guess he had some German currency. This was a postcard that he wrote home to his folks. Here's a letter that he wrote. Dear folks, sorry that I got behind in my correspondence, but athletics and card playing have taken up most of my time. I'm feeling fine, hope you're well. Please write soon. Love to all, Bernie. This was his dog tag. It's got a little H here, so the Germans would have known that he was Jewish. The H means Hebrew. This must have been from he must have done some bartering with a German guard. It's got the German eagle on the swastika. This is him coming back after being released from POW camp. And this is a card from the Caterpillar Club, certificate of authenticity and membership that, he used a parachute to save his life, so he was a lifetime member of the Caterpillar Club. So all in all, Dad enlisted, well, let's just say he enlisted in, I believe it was October 1941, but he was captured on his 2 days before his 21st birthday on September 6, 1943, and he was liberated on May 31st, 1945. And the guys on his, the crew members I wanted to memorialize as well. The Captain Melville, co-pilot, survived. Robert Stone, Captain Melville did not survive. The navigator was John Pronick. He survived, was a POW. The bombardier was William Pastrick. He survived as a POW. The flight engineer was George Lauder. He was a prisoner of war. Frank Aldenhovel, he was killed in action. Morris Wickersham was the staff sergeant. He was the ball turret gunner. He survived as a POW. The right waist gunner, Bill Borchert, killed in action. My dad, Bernard Morris Tuvman, POW, and the tail gunner, Walter Creamer, killed in action. this was a sketch of Dad that was drawn by a Frank Patero in 1944 in the POW camp. And at that point, I'm sure Dad didn't really know what was going on and what his outcome was going to be. But if you look closely here, you can just tell by his eyes, it doesn't look, looks pretty grim, but that's Dad. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. Well, this was the original scrapbook that Dad kept when he was in Stalag XVII. And it's actually made from his coveralls that he was wearing the day he was shot down. There's a dedication right here. Let me just see. I know this is kind of hard to keep in focus here, but that's about as good as I can get with what I've got right now. This book is dedicated to my family and friends, to whom I am thankful they did not forget me in the darkest moments, nor did I forget them. May I also add that I am deeply grateful to my fellow Kriegies, which were other POWs, whose advice and work aided the making of this log. Bernard Tuvman. This was the wartime log that was issued to the POWs, a remembrance from home through the American YMCA. And this was Dad. This book belongs to Bernard Tuvman, POW 113396, Stalag XVII B, Krems Austria, Air Force, United States Air Force. And he's got, this was all done by hand, so there was no labs, there was no Photoshop, there was nothing. It was just basically men with their hands working with colored pencils. This is I pledge allegiance to the flag. There's an Air Force prayer. And this is in memory of my departed comrades. May they rest in peace. This is the door that Dad was able to open to escape the spinning B-17 Chihuahua when they were shot down by Egon Meyer. That's a caricature drawn by Don Bevan. And Don Bevan was the co-writer of Stalag XVII, the play, which I believe, actually you can watch the movie on YouTube. It's pretty interesting. It's got his name right here, Don Bevan, 44, Germany. And this was something that was published in the local Springfield paper when Dad was his local army man listed as prisoner. Then over here, there's just some different pictures of the various airplanes that were used. These were the escorts, the P-47s. I believe this is the Messerschmitt right here. And this was the German Focke-Wulf 190 that shot Dad down, shot his plane down. But anyway, this one's called Going Down. It shows the men jumping out. Sometimes they weren't quite that lucky. Sometimes the planes would just explode and nobody could get out. But at any rate, this is what Dad had kept together. Just different things he was able to get through bartering. He's got clippings. Just a whole lot of package of cigarettes and postcards and tags, and he just saved everything. It's a picture of Hitler with his strategists. This is when this picture right here, if you can see it, is when they tried to kill Hitler, the movie that Tom Cruise did. Here's a picture of Hitler, and I believe that's Mussolini. I believe so. At a train station. But at any rate, yeah, Dad kept a lot of, he collected just about everything. This is a little bit bigger book, but this, let me just make sure I've got this in the frame here too. I'm doing this by myself, so let's just see that I got this in. Yep, there's a picture of Dad and Grandma. And basically, Grandma looks like she's seen a ghost when Dad enlisted. Dad looks happy. He has no clue what he's getting himself into. There's a picture of the family. There's Sam, Helen, his sister, Dad, and Grandma. I think Dad was on leave at that point, so she looks a little happier there. Honorable discharge. He became a member of the Caterpillar Club because he jumped out of the airplane and the parachute saved his life. And this is Frank, who was the radio operator. Frank jumped out right after Dad, and he was okay when he got out of the airplane. But on his way down with his parachute, a German fighter strafed his chute, and Frank just came, he came hurtling down without a chute, and Dad unfortunately had to identify Frank. Frank died. And letters like when Dad was captured as a POW that was sent to the family, that's all in the book as well. But there's this, he had a large collection of just all kinds of things. Just Dad was a collector. There's a nice picture of Dad. I'm sure that was before he was taken prisoner, maybe in England. I'm not sure. He looks pretty confident. Good-looking guy. And then, this is the book. Let's make sure I got this on the camera okay, and I don't. Let's move it over a little bit. That's Krems Memories, and that was the book that was based on the play Stalag XVII by Ben Felper. And it's old. It's old. It was published in 1946, a year after the war. But basically, there's pictures of the camp. There's basically commentary about, like, in the event that each picture does not strike a familiar scene in your mind, I have written a little about each and tried to bring back memories that will help you explain to your friends about what it was like. Yeah, no matter what it was like and what we read and all the pictures that we look at, we'll really never know what it was like. It was tough. These guys were prisoners. At least they were young, but it was, they didn't have good food to eat. It was dirty. There was lice. It definitely wasn't like going to camp. You can just see in this one right here. Let me see if I can just capture that. You can see. You can really can't see it that well, but this guy's sitting. He's got his hand over his chin. He's depressed. Who wouldn't be? But at any rate, this was a book that Dad had gotten, and it goes from when basically day-to-day life in the POW camp until Patton's army came, and when they were liberated. So the liberation part is right about over here. But at any rate, they made it. Some of the guys made it. A lot of them didn't. But anyway, that's what I wanted to share. I hope it's useful, and thank you.